Hey guys, welcome back to BachMakers, your favorite show that recaps all things Bachelor Nation. Before we continue with this episode, we're going to ask you very nicely, Michael, please deliver the news.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And share.
In that order, or reverse the order. It doesn't matter to us. Just do those things. Helps us. Enjoy this episode. We'll see you in the episode. Just keep watching. All right. Bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to BachMakers, or as this episode might as well be called, BachMaker, singular BachMaker. It's just me today, guys. Michael had a bachelor party, so he was unable to watch, hasn't caught up yet, and Lizzie is working. So I'm just putting the show on my back. Just me today. We'll still hit all the segments. We'll still recap all the shows. We'll do what you want us to do. We are here for you to cover Bachelor in Paradise, Golden Bachelor, all the good things. First things first. And Michael's not here to defend himself, but I promise you this information is accurate. As we've been doing the past couple weeks, or before the season started, we drafted teams. My team consists of, again, you have 2 people from Bachelor in Paradise, 3 Golden Grannies in your starting 5, and then you have a 6th man that fills in if one of your Golden Grannies is eliminated. You get a point per rose. You get 2 points for receiving a group date rose. You get 2 points for receiving a one-on-one rose. And you get 5 points for leaving the show in a relationship. And you get 10 points for leaving the show engaged. Now, after crunching the numbers, we have Team Wyatt with 7 points. Picking up points from Sam. Picking up points from Joan. And another point from April. All pretty standard roses. Just 1 point. And then Team Michael picked up points from Rachel. Picked up points from Leslie. And picked up points from Peggy. So 3 each. Nothing crazy this week, but if you remember last week, Michael said a little something.
I think we'll see a makeout again next episode.
I don't think so.
Okay, let's put a bet.
I'll put 1 point on it.
I'll put 1 point on it.
Because there was no on-screen makeout between Sean and Rachel, I have another point. And again, Michael can argue that all he wants. He'll come back on next week to argue it. But as it stands now, the scoreboard is 7 points for Team Wyatt, 4 points for Team Michael. And a reminder, the punishment is the loser at the end of both seasons must buy a poster of one of us, the winner, whoever the winner is, makes the poster of us on like a Bachelor promo picture, says The Bachelor, picture of us in a suit, has to hang it in their room until there is another winner and loser for the next season, which will be Joey's season of The Bachelor. So there's that. I have an early lead after 2 weeks with the extra point from the bet that Michael decided to make last week, which I felt pretty confident about. So that's the scoreboard update. Comment of the week. So this is where we want to challenge you guys, give you guys a chance to get free merch, stay engaged with the show. So what I'm asking you, all you fellow BachMakers fans of the show, predict one Golden Glammy, one of them. Who's going home? Who you think is going home is no longer going to be on Gare Bear's radar. And if you're right, you pick someone who does, in fact, go home, and you're the first one to do so, you'll get free merch, and we'll reach out to you. So do that. Leave a comment below who you think's going home. And now we'll move on to the segments. First and foremost, the Golden Glammy. This is the Glammy that sticks out the most, who probably had the best week. And I think this is a clear choice here. Last week, we had Faith got the first impression rose. We had intros to everyone. We're still getting to know people. Our girl Leslie put on a clinic during this group date. She did not get the group date rose, which I was slightly shocked by. I thought she probably should have gotten it. She put on a clinic with Gary. That one-on-one, as the kids call Riz these days. She was rizzing up Gare Bear, and it worked. Gary was borderline smitten with Leslie at this point. She put on a full court press, and it worked. It paid off. She stole the ball, and now it's her show now. It's her show. Leslie is in control. So my Golden Glammy has to go to Leslie. Without a doubt, feels like the right pick. Now, I'm also going to double down with Leslie being my Golden Glammy this week because now this steps out of the show a little bit. I'm in a little bit of a love triangle. Now, I've been very open about it. Joan. Joan is my most likely to make me act up before the season, and I stand by that. It's stunning. I love Joan. We can talk about Joan. Um, but Leslie's fighting for my love too. Leslie dropped the comments on the TikTok. She's throwing feelers out there to see what happens. Now, she said, and I quote, to my New Girl TikTok, which I love the show New Girl. If you're new here, it's my favorite show of all time. If you're not new here, you get it. She commented on one of my TikToks. She said, best show ever. And I said, Leslie, stop it or I'm going to fall in love with you. And she replied, with all the shade in the world, LOL, I know you love Joan anyhow. So it's known amongst the Golden Glammies that I love Joan, which is unfortunate because there is enough Wyatt to go around for all of the Glammies. We love them all. I love them all equally. But I'm caught in a little love triangle here between Leslie and Joan. So I wanted Leslie to know that she does hold a place in my heart. So she is my Golden Glammy for week 2, and I will give that crown to her. Next up, we have the cringe of the week. This was harder and easier. Harder in the sense that there weren't a lot to pick from. There weren't a lot of cringy moments this week. Pretty straightforward week. Nothing crazy to really throw us off. I think we're going to get some cringeworthy moments coming up soon with the poop baby, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. The obvious one, I think this is easy. This is why this pick ended up being easy. There was a moment there with our guy, F. Peter. Call him F. Peter because that's what all the guys from that season decided to call him. F. Pete.
Sure, we're good.
Yeah, no, we're. You and I are good.
What is happening? It's so awkward.
But if I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if Wells was making some strong drinks, but the dancing behind Sam and Aaron made no sense. It was like when that's a third grade schoolyard move where like your girl is talking to another dude at recess and you're like, well, you want to get her attention? Watch me chuck this football at people. Watch me just climb up really high in this tree. Do anything to get attention. And it was hard to watch. There has to be more context to it because you don't just do that. But maybe this is how he earned the F Peter, the F Peter moniker. I don't know. I really don't know, but I had no explanation for it. So it's got to be my cringe of the week. So congratulations to F Peter for that one. Well, let's get into Paradise. Let's do the recap. Now, the big thing with this week's episode of Paradise is Avon. Avon shows up and causes the riff. The riff that was happening no matter what. Will, Olivia, Kylie. That was the week 1 narrative. And now week 2 narrative is separating them. So Kylie has been all over Avon since she stepped on this beach. She was here for Avon. Avon wasn't even there, and she was all over Avon. That's how much in love with Avon she is. So it was inevitable that she was going to leave Will. I think, in her defense, she probably handled it pretty well. She had a conversation with him. It was still early. I don't know. I think she kind of handled it well. Now, what I will say, no pun intended there, I owe an apology to Mr. Will. I do. I don't know if I judged a book by its cover. I don't know if I was focused too much on his appearance on other seasons, but I'm in on Will. I'm buying all the Will stock. For some reason, I don't know what it was. I was out on him. I didn't like him. I didn't like the vibe. I'm back in. He roped me back in. He was adorable this episode. There's no other way to put it. It was adorable. It's adorable. Made my heart melt. He suckered me in. The way he handled the conversation with Kylie, he was clearly upset. He was like, it's hard when you're not the one, but I get it. And then his conversation with Mercedes when he just started crying, that was the closest I've been close to tears on Golden Bachelor. Hadn't been close on Paradise yet. That was the first one that almost got me. If I had turned the lights off maybe and like focus a little more, maybe you get tears out of me. We'll keep the tear counter at 0 right now, but we're getting close. We're getting really close. So I'm backing on Will. I really am back on Will. So yeah, Avon and Kylie are together for the most part. Olivia, we'll get to Olivia actually. But next up, the other weird little drama before Hannah Brown showed up was Eliza was like upset about Aaron and Mercedes kissing, which this Aaron and Mercedes kiss, they love blurring things on this show. I'll say they blur a lot of booty. There's no booty being shown on this show whatsoever. If there's anything close, they will put that big black box over it and cover it up for the viewers at home. Now, ABC, what you're covering up with those big black boxes cannot be worse than that Mercedes and Aaron kiss.
Today.
So you're telling me you guys kissed last night and he hasn't been like...
No.
Something about that close-up was jarring. X-rated. Do not let me see this. Hide the kids, hide the wives, put them in the closet. Don't let them see that type of stuff on the camera. I did not need to see that. I can't unsee it. So I can't really fault Eliza for being upset, even though I am going to, because that's hard to watch. If Eliza saw that clip, she'd probably dump Aaron like that. Because I didn't like it. It was too much TMI in physical form. But Eliza, I just don't think Eliza is made for this show. She doesn't seem to be up for it mentally. And it's like, and I admit, like, it is a mental challenge, like, to be on a show like this. You have to put up with a lot emotionally, and I don't think everyone's up for it. I'm probably not up for it, and it's no slight on Eliza whatsoever. I just don't think she's ready for this show. And I know this is her third time on one of these shows. I don't think she's ready for it. I not in the sense like everyone is eventually ready for it. Like you have to like mature into it. No, that's not the case. I think I probably misspoke there. I just don't think she's made for it. I don't like, which is totally fair. And I would argue that makes you more of a normal person. Because if you are made for that, maybe you got something else going on. But I just feel like it's not a good fit for her to be on this show, and it's gonna end poorly. I don't think she's built for it. Which again, not a knock on her, but that's the vibe I'm getting from her. Before we get to Hannah Brown, we also have, I briefly mentioned it, Rachel and Sean. It's so clear that Rachel is using Sean for a rose. What I imagine happened is Rachel came down on the beach, saw the dudes, and was like, really? This is it? This is what we got, ABC? You bring the Bachelorette on the beach, and this is what we got? So she's just biding her time, waiting. You know, all right, Sean, I'll kiss you once, get a rose, and then bring the men down. Bring the muchachos down, and then let me go to work. Rachel's just waiting. She's just sitting in the corner waiting her turn and be like, all right, now I'm gonna prowl. I'm gonna go on the prowl and find the person I want. Yeah, so I'm starting to almost feel bad for Sean because Jess clearly doesn't want her. Because Jess clearly doesn't want him, and he also is like being told by Rachel to go pursue Jess. There was a moment where Sean was like, well, like I talked to Jess for a little bit, but I didn't kiss her. And Rachel just said, you should have.
And we obviously had a great kiss, and I talked to Jess afterwards, and I didn't kiss Jess at all.
But it's okay, you do.
She was basically encouraging like, hey, Sean, this ain't it. You and I, it ain't a long-term thing. Go try to get Jess, which Jess doesn't want to because Jess is all over Blake. So this is what my issue is. I have a big heart, you know? I feel bad for Sean. I was clowning on him week 1, but now I'm like, poor kid. Poor kid. I hope he finds love too. I want everyone to find love on this show. So Um, that was all happening, and then we have another bachelorette show up on the beach, Miss Hannah Brown. And this is what the show does that drives me insane sometimes. When they build up a moment where they act like their audience is dumb and doesn't follow the show. Everyone who follows the show whatsoever, even the slightest bit, knew Hannah Brown was engaged. She engaged someone outside the show. I forget his name at this point. Doesn't really matter. I'm sure he's great. But we know Hannah Brown's engaged. So you don't need to build up the suspense of, is she here to date? Is she going to try to date Avon? Is Rachel? No. We all knew she wasn't. We knew that was never the plan. So don't spend 20 minutes of airtime building it up like there's some suspense. Because we all know that. So just breeze by it real quick. She ended up hosting a little kumbaya truth circle that was meant to ruffle some feathers. I don't think it ruffled as many feathers as they probably hoped it had. I think what was presented was already known to the audience, so I don't think it was anything crazy. It might have been more dramatic amongst the cast members because they were probably finding out that like Sean liked Jess, or a little more about the Kylie and Olivia situation where they just don't like each other, which I'm kind of in on. We need some rivalries. I think we got some good ones. We got F. Peter versus Aaron. We got Olivia versus Kylie. I think we're gonna. I think people are gonna turn on Avon at some point. I don't know. I think Avon's gonna be a hot commodity. So we'll see. We need some good rivalries, but yeah, the Hannah Brown situation is what it is. You know, this felt almost filler-y, where they were like, all right, maybe this can ruffle some feathers. If not, at least we get some screen time from one of the most beloved people from the franchise to kind of keep this ball rolling, get some eyeballs on it. So wasn't a big fan of that. At the end of the episode, eliminated were 3 people we assumed were going to be eliminated. So Michael and I predicted it last week. We said Greer's going home. I don't even know if she tried, to be honest. I don't like there was a clip of her trying to talk to I think it was Peter. But yeah, I think she probably knew within an hour of being on the beach. She's like, you know what, this probably ain't gonna work out, which is fine. And she goes on her way. And big moment for Michael here. We found out recently on a little Instagram story, Greer is still single. So Michael, we'll talk to him next week about it, but find out. Michael's in Chicago. Greer's in Chicago. Maybe. What? We're the BachMakers. We make batch happen. We're matchmakers. We make batches. Batches. Oh, that actually works. We make batches. We're gonna make a batch of Greer and Michael. Let's make it happen. We have some mutual friends. We'll work on that. So we'll get an update on that next week from Michael when he returns. But that's good news. So Greer was eliminated, Kat was eliminated, and Brooklyn was eliminated. No big surprises here. What I do want to do is reveal. Shout out to the Good Time interns who helped construct the big board. So this is good. You can see this is the Bachelor side of it. There's a Golden Bachelor side of it too, which we'll get to in a second. But this is the Bachelor in Paradise big board. So what you can see here, we got all the couples. These are people who got eliminated. We got Brooklyn, Kat, and Greer right here. See ya. I'll take them off the big board after this week. And then our couples. So this is where the roses went. Real easy to follow. Avon and Kylie right there. Jess and Blake. Sean and Rachel. Eliza and Aaron. Will and Mercedes, which is why I'm back on Will. That conversation was adorable. Braden and Kat, which seems like a ticking time bomb. These two are like it's like those like firecracker things you throw at the ground and they pop. What's happening with these two are like, there are 2 of them you keep throwing and they don't pop. And so you throw them harder. And you keep throwing them. And you're just waiting for them to blow up. That's going to happen. Those two are just headed for chaos, I feel like. Olivia and F. Pete, because you got to keep Olivia around. I love Olivia. She's growing on me each week. She's entertaining. I like her. And then we got Poop Baby and Aaron. And I think that's it. And then up here you got Wells doing his thing. So that's the big board. That's what the board's looking like moving forward. If you want to know who I think's going home, who I think's stay put for the end of the episode. After we talk Golden Batch, we'll do our twofers. And I say we, I mean me. I'll give my twofer for next week. But let's talk a little Golden Batch. We got some talking to do about our golden grannies and our Gare Bear. Again, overall, I think this show is so important to the Bachelor franchise, and you can tell they know that with how much effort they are putting into production. Not only was there a staged flash mob of Don't Stop Believing, but just the overall, there's a tone to the show. There's a actual tone they are going for that's not just raunchy drama. It's fun. This is like a comedy almost. Like some of the opening shots of them deciding what bunk they're going to be. Some of them can't climb ladders because they don't have good knees. Stuff like that, where you're not going to get that type of comedic relief in a normal episode of The Bachelor or Bachelorette. So there's a definite tone they are going for, which I applaud them for actually putting time and effort into the season. So thank you. Start off the show. Gary takes Teresa, who had a great performance in week 1, takes Teresa on a little diner date. Now the producers, I just applauded them for the tone of the show. If they sabotaged Gary's headlights for that date, that's concerning. And I know they're probably on a blocked off part of the highway. They're followed by car. There's no real danger. But that's what we're going to do for our first date, our first one-on-one. We're going to put our old people at risk, put them on the highway. They probably can't, even if the headlights were working, Gary's going to struggle to see. I struggle to drive at night sometimes. Those headlights are bright. Put them on a California highway, you're asking for trouble. So we dodged a bullet there. They get to the diner, which my first reaction was, could they not afford to rent out the diner? That's crazy to me. You find out at the end it's because they're all paid dancers basically, and they're doing a flash mob. But that was a little weird. Overall, decent date. I think Gary's getting a little comfortable. He's tossing out some L bombs. It wasn't a love, or he said, "I really like you" to Teresa. He said, "You're really lovable" to Teresa. He's tossing out a lot, which I think he might regret later on when it gets to the point where he has to decide between the top 4. If his heart goes another direction, he might regret playing his cards a little bit in multiple different areas to multiple different golden Grammys. But we'll see. Maybe it's just Teresa. Maybe we said last week, we're like, maybe it's just Faith. Maybe Faith is the only one. But I don't know. After the day with Teresa, we had the group date, which ended up just being a typical photo shoot. Nothing too crazy here. You did have, as we mentioned, Leslie putting on an absolute clinic in that little one-on-one conversation. And then you had a moment with Nancy, which was another tearjerker. She was wearing a wedding dress, and she said it's the first time I'm wearing a wedding dress since my actual wedding day with her spouse who has since passed away. It's another moment where you're like, this show is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking, but it's also so cathartic to watch these women who have gone through that and still be like, you know what? I'm giving it a shot. It's so wholesome. I love it. It makes you tear up every time, but yeah, it's what you wouldn't ask for something more. But yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So shout out to Nancy, who ended up getting the group date rose, which unfortunately backfired on me because she is my 6th woman who is about to enter my starting 5, but I do not get those points for my team because she wasn't in the lineup to start the week. So hopefully Nancy continues to rack up some points. That'd be really nice. Now, one question I did have, and I want to see if we get an answer from it because I don't think they leave it in if it's not answered at some point. There's a moment where Gary leans in, whispers something to Leslie, and then they ask Leslie what he said, and she doesn't say.
Woo! What did you say? We're not gonna say.
I don't think you leave that in if we don't get an answer later because they didn't give subtitles. Normally when it's something you can't hear, they give subtitles for what they actually said. I think they know. I think they know what he said, and they're like, we should reveal this later. So that makes me think Leslie makes it far. Not only because she like had a great performance, but that moment right there was like, there's something more here. I feel like we're missing something. So that was my thought. I just want to figure that out. We'll see what Leslie was doing. The only other thing I would mention is you got Faith kind of getting cold feet, which is a typical Bachelor/Bachelorette storyline where the first impression rose feels like you're losing steam a little bit because you come out the gate hot and then all of a sudden you not keep getting roses at that rate and you start to freak out. Maybe he's forgetting about me. I think Faith is fine. I think Gary's still getting used to the role a little bit, figuring out how he wants to go about it. So I think Faith is okay. And then at the end of the day, we say goodbye to 2 golden grannies. One of them was on Team Wyatt. I mentioned Nancy is filling in. Nancy will be filling in for Natasha. We love Natasha. She advocated for rose ceremonies sitting down. I think that was the thing at the end, which is a good point. I mean, you stand there for a while. So maybe for the Golden Bachelorette, we can do that. Shout out Natasha and shout out to Jeannie. They're both going home. We love them. We love the Golden Glammies. We hope they're doing well. Maybe they found love already. Maybe this show will be a reignition to their love life, hopefully. So shout out to them. Great people. Friends of the program, I hope. Don't even know that for sure, but I'm going to say they're friends of the program. All right. We'll wrap up with Twofers. This is where I say 2 people. One going home, one who I think is staying. And this week we're talking about the boys. The boys of paradise. We finally get to get rid of some of these guys because some of these dudes just aren't. I don't know how to say it. They're not getting the job done. They're not getting the job done for me. So I want to clean house a little bit. So we went perfect last week. We said Greer was going home. I said Eliza was staying. This week, I'm going to say a lock. Avon is staying for sure. Going home, I'm stuck between 2. I'll say F. Peter is going home. I think he who to get the rose from? Olivia? Yeah, Olivia's not giving him her rose. So he's gonna have to get one of the new girls. I don't know. So I don't even know if we're gonna get new girls next episode. It'll be interesting. I don't think he's getting a rose from anyone. So I think he's going home. But I will say I think Sean is on the hot seat. Because like I said, Rachel was using him for a rose. She got that rose. I think she's gonna flip it now. I think Sean is going to struggle to climb out of this hole, and he might be gone, but he's not my official go home. That's going to be F. Peter. So we'll keep an eye on that, but I think Sean's in the hot seat. And now we wrap up with headlines, but I'm going to be honest, there wasn't many headlines this week. I think Charity's still killing on Dancing with the Stars. Becca and Thomas had their kid, which is awesome. We love here on the BachMakers, so congrats to them again. We mentioned that last week. Other than that, pretty slow week outside of the shows. I think most of the info, the drama, the news is coming from the show. So headlines might be a little sparse this next couple weeks. These next couple weeks. So who knows? But yeah, no really headlines. So with that, thanks for watching BachMakers. We're here every Monday. We'll have a full squad next week. Maybe a special guest. Stay tuned. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Leave a like. If you made it this far, you might as well like the video. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you next week for BachMakers. Another good week ahead. Looking forward to it. Love you guys. Peace.